Welcome to the deep dive, where we take complex source material and, well, we turn it into the essential knowledge you need, and fast.
Today, we are really getting into a topic that's defining, I think, the current challenge for so many business leaders.
We are. It's digital servitization and the powerful, if complicated, new tool that's helping them manage all that complexity.
Right, so digital servitization is really the core strategic shift we're seeing.
It's a big one.
Yeah, companies are moving beyond just, selling a one-off product. They're now integrating digital services, digital products.
To deliver continuous value, right?
Exactly, continuous outcome-oriented value. So think less about selling a jet engine and more about selling thrust hours, uptime.
That kind of model, though, it requires constant innovation, massive data analysis, and the ability to pivot strategy in markets that are just changing so fast.
The sheer complexity, the volume of information,
Oh.
it can completely overwhelm human strategists.
And that's where generative AI or GenAI steps in. We're framing this as a powerful new engine for strategic planning.
It is. It produces deep insights, coherent narratives, and, scenario recommendations from data stacks that would just crush a human team.
So our mission today, built from a stack of really fresh research, is to give you the strategic roadmap. We need to explore how you can leverage GenAI.
The good and the bad.
Exactly. The incredible opportunities, the bright side, and the critical risks, which is the dark side. And then we'll illustrate precisely how it's being applied in core strategy work today.
It's all about leveraging this tool wisely, not blindly.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's unpack this, starting with the bright side. What's the immediate promise here?
The immediate promise of integrating GenAI into strategic knowledge work, it really centers on transforming productivity.
And some of the numbers that just jump out of the source material are, they're genuinely transformative. We're talking about massive gains in efficiency and speed. Like in some studies, when people use AI assistants, their writing tasks were cut by 40%.
40%?
And programming time was slashed by 56%. This isn't just a small time saver. This fundamentally changes the role of the strategist.
It really does. It shifts the strategist's role from, say, compiler to architect. If you free up an analyst from spending half their week writing summary briefs,
right,
you're freeing them up for higher-level conceptual thinking, for asking the right strategic questions.
And it also enables scalability, which is just so necessary when you're facing the constant demands of digital servitization.
Yeah, GenAI can sift through a universe of competitor filings or generate hundreds of strategic options in minutes.
Tasks that used to take human teams weeks or even months.
Which leads directly into the second big opportunity, enhanced creativity and ideation. And this one, I think, is often overlooked.
People think of AI as an efficiency tool, not a creative one.
Exactly. But it's proving to be this tireless brainstorming partner. It's capable of suggesting genuinely novel strategies.
So it's a source of originality, not just efficient mediocrity.
Absolutely. There was this specific experiment with MBA students designing new ventures. The students who used GenAI in their process, they generated measurably more original ideas than the students working alone.
Wow.
So it's not just about speed, it's about scope.
So it's acting as a kind of thought partner that challenges groupthink.
Precisely. It can draw connections across industries or propose moves that are completely outside a manager's, their usual frame of reference. It forces them to confront ideas they might otherwise just dismiss out of habit.
And all of that, the speed, the creativity, it all feeds into the third point, which is improved decision quality.
Right. Good strategy relies on good evidence, and GenAI just dramatically expands our analytical capacity.
It's like a super researcher.
A super researcher and an interpreter, yeah. It can scan millions of data points, consumer reviews, regulatory filings, you name it, and synthesize the key trends almost instantly.
So strategy becomes less about gut feeling and more about comprehensive modeling.
And that's why the observation from McKinsey that AI tools are making deriving insights much easier and cheaper is so important.
This is a real inflection point.
It is. So to sum up the bright side, we're talking more ideas, faster analyses, and broader exploration, all delivered to help strategists make better choices faster.
Okay, so if the bright side is built on efficiency and scale, the crucial question has to be, what are the unintended consequences? We have to turn to the dark side.
And this is so important. Let's start with one of the most insidious risks, bias and distorted judgment.
Because the AI is only as good as the data it's trained on.
Exactly. It's trained on historical data. So if that data is skewed, if it reinforces old business models or outdated demographics, GenAI will embed and amplify those biases.
But the risk is deeper, isn't it? It's about how the AI presents the information.
That's the key. Its fluent, authoritative tone creates this illusion of objectivity.
And that illusion is just incredibly dangerous. The research on this was fascinating. There was a study where executives used a tool like ChatGPT for market forecasts.
And
And they became significantly more optimistic, confident, and produced worse forecasts.
worse forecasts.
Yeah. They stopped applying their usual critical skepticism because the AI just sounded so sure of itself.
That overconfidence bias is a massive strategic hazard. It reinforces status quo thinking, but it does it under the guise of, rigorous analysis.
And then you have the quality control problem, the famous hallucination issue.
Right, where GenAI just makes things up. Plausible sounding things, but they're completely fabricated. Inventing market data, citing research that doesn't exist.
And if a team just accepts that without a critical review,
Yeah, they're building a strategy on a foundation of sand. The whole thing could just crumble when it hits the real world.
okay, but wait, let me challenge that third major risk for a second. The loss of tacit knowledge and de-skilling. If we're gaining all this efficiency, aren't we supposed to be moving faster? How do the sources suggest balancing speed with, the long-term need for human learning?
That is the central paradox. It's a huge one. Because strategy development, it relies so much on human intuition, on experiential knowledge.
The stuff you only get through years of doing the work.
Exactly. That tacit knowledge. If we offload too much of the fundamental thinking like summarizing or drafting reports or even just initial problem structuring, we risk short-circuiting the learning curve for the next generation of strategists.
So what starts as a speed boost could end up as a loss of corporate wisdom over time.
And that anecdote about the salesperson really drove this home for me.
Oh, right, the one who used GenAI for the email.
Yeah. Crafted this perfectly tailored outreach email, totally impressed the client, got the meeting. But then, on the follow-up call, they lacked the real insight behind the words.
The client saw right through it.
They did. They realized the expertise was a veneer, and trust just collapsed.
That facade of expertise, it really sticks with you. It shows that trust is fundamentally human.
So the dark side is really about quality control, mitigating bias, and maybe most importantly, protecting that uniquely human strategic wisdom.
Okay, that context is crucial as we pivot to the actual applications. Where is GenAI actively changing strategic work right now?
Let's start with a really foundational, high-complexity task: scenario planning and strategic foresight.
Which is traditionally slow, it's expensive, and you're often limited by the team's imagination. You can only really explore 3 or 4 futures rigorously.
Right, but GenAI changes that calculus completely. It enables rapid, cost-effective, and comprehensive exploration. You can now consider 10, 15, even 20 distinct future options.
So you could prompt an AI to imagine a whole suite of 5-year scenarios, like one where sustainability pressures dominate versus another where there's, aggressive new market entrants.
And the AI will produce these coherent, vivid storylines for each one. It's an incredible tool for narrative creation.
But these are still raw inputs, right? Not the final truth.
Absolutely, critical point. They are raw inputs, not final truths. The human experts still have to refine, critique, and validate them for realism. GenAI generates the breadth. Humans provide the strategic depth.
Okay, so that foresight is powerful, but it doesn't matter if the foundational intelligence is weak. Which brings us to market research and customer insights.
And this is where the efficiency gains really shine. I mean, the data deluge in market intelligence today is just overwhelming. GenAI can ingest thousands of customer reviews and summarize the themes instantly, or scan patents and analyst reports for those subtle signals of emerging trends.
And the sources mentioned a really novel use here, generating digital personas.
Yeah, this is fascinating. These aren't just static profiles. GenAI can synthesize deep clustered data into these rich, realistic narratives.
So you can actually talk to them, in a way.
You can literally query the AI. How would this persona, Alex, who values sustainability and convenience, react to our new high-speed delivery service? It allows for this synthetic form of empathy and testing.
The bottom line is that tasks that took an analyst weeks can now be done in minutes. It enables continuous market monitoring, not just one-off projects.
And that speed is vital when you're navigating complex areas like ESG and sustainability strategy.
The compliance and reporting there is just a mountain of work.
A mountain of often inconsistent data. GenAI helps automate that. It can ingest raw data and generate sustainability reports in line with complex standards like GRI.
And it helps with regulatory compliance, like summarizing dense legal texts.
Exactly. It can take something like the massive new EU Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and just extract the key obligations that are specific to your firm, which is why 77% of large companies expect AI to have a high or transformational impact on their ESG work.
Okay, let's turn to the front end. Product development and innovation. How is it being used there?
It acts as a creative engine. It can produce concept variations, feature suggestions, all based on desired user outcomes, and way faster than a human team could sketch them out.
And it can also simulate customer feedback.
Yes, for concept testing.
Huh.
It can foreshadow likely reactions before a product ever goes public. Predicting things like customers might love the convenience, but they're going to worry about data privacy.
And in the more technical engineering sphere?
There we have generative design algorithms. They create thousands of design alternatives, optimizing for things like weight or strength, and they often discover shapes that a human engineer just wouldn't conceive of naturally.
We also see it a lot in sales strategy and enablement.
For sure, drafting highly personalized sales emails, pitch decks at scale. It's also used internally for training and coaching, simulating difficult sales calls, that kind of thing.
But this is where that cautionary lesson comes back, right? The facade of expertise is a huge risk in sales.
It's the highest risk because that's where human connection is paramount. The best practice we saw is this coach, don't copy, paste philosophy.
Meaning?
The AI does the prep work. It provides the data, crafts the language, but the human salesperson have to internalize that insight and deliver the real substance to build a trusting relationship.
Right, and moving to precision targeting, it's driving huge changes in customer segmentation and personalization.
The old way of targeting broad segments is just obsolete. AI is moving us toward micro-segmentation, even segments of one.
And it creates those rich persona narratives we talked about.
Exactly, makes the segments feel real. The Golden State Warriors are a great real-world example.
What did they do?
They use GenAI to analyze massive amounts of fan data to find the right fans to target at the right time for ticket promotions. The goal was more efficiency. Fewer messages, but much more personalized and higher conversion.
And finally, the highest order of strategy, business model innovation.
Here, it acts as a strategic scout, synthesizing case studies, cross-industry analogies.
So it might suggest a model like GE's product as a service and apply it to a totally different industry.
Exactly. It can generate and evaluate multiple options, subscription versus data monetization, for instance, and simulate the strategic trade-offs for each one.
That is a massive range of activity, from data crunching to high-level design. So what's the winning formula? How do companies actually implement this without falling for all the dark side risks?
The core principle, and this has to be non-negotiable, is you have to keep humans in the loop. GenAI must support human strategists, not replace them. Humans have to review, validate, and decide, because accountability for a decision, it cannot be delegated to an algorithm, period.
That's the philosophy. So what are the key best practices to make sure that human oversight is actually effective?
First, start small. Use an MVP-first approach.
Minimum viable projects.
Exactly. Pilot AI for something small, like Intel briefs in one business unit, before you try a massive, high-risk organizational change. Learn by doing.
Second, and this is huge, invest in data quality and security.
Garbage in, garbage out. You need strict governance on what sensitive info can be shared with the model, and you have to log everything for auditing and IP management.
Okay, what's third?
Third is maybe the most important for the long run. Develop AI literacy. Train your teams not just on how to use the tool, but on how to think critically about its outputs.
So they need to know how to write effective prompts.
Effective prompts, and they need to be educated on its limitations, especially bias and hallucination. It's about being a sophisticated user, not a passive recipient.
Right, and the fourth point.
And fourth, set clear guardrails. Mitigate the risks by establishing multi-step workflows. If the AI generates a strategy, the next step for a human or another prompt is to explicitly evaluate its weaknesses and test its assumptions.
It all comes back to collaboration and control.
It does. The winning formula is fundamentally human plus AI, not human versus AI. GenAI provides the science, the speed, the analytical power, but the art, the judgment, and the ultimate accountability of strategy remain squarely, and I mean squarely, human.
That's a perfect summary for our deep dive today. We've established that GenAI offers, enhanced efficiency, creativity, and speed. But, and it's a big but, those benefits are only realized if the risks are actively managed.
Through that human-in-the-loop governance.
Right.
And, we've seen that GenAI can automate tasks that consume a huge chunk of a strategist's time, but this saved capacity It actually presents a profound challenge for leaders.
Because the time you save could just be wasted.
It could be squandered. If teams just use the extra hours to do more of the same low-value work, instead of actually elevating their thinking.
So this raises a really critical question for you, the listener, as you think about implementing these tools. And that question is, how will you ensure the capacity freed up by GenAI is intentionally reinvested into higher order, truly strategic thinking and human creativity?
Because embedding AI into your strategy must itself be done strategically. We encourage you to think about that balance between automation and human ingenuity until our next deep dive.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of our Digital Servitization Exchange podcast. We hope the insights sparked new ideas, challenged assumptions, and brought clarity to the evolving world of service and digital-driven business models. This podcast is grounded in extensive research across various fields, drawing on years of academic work, case studies, and cutting-edge publications. It also shaped by hands-on experience of our collaboration partners, whose real-world challenges and successes help us to translate theory into practice. If you enjoyed the episode, consider following the podcast and sharing it with colleagues who are navigating the civilization journey. Your support helps us continuing bridging high-quality research-based and practice-proven perspectives straight to your ears. Thank you for tuning in and see you in the next episode.